soon. Start soon. Time to start soon. Start soon. So they're in the middle of working on some like things and stuff because apparently we don't have access to background music anymore. I was talking with some people about that. How that's weird. All right. And we're live. Here we go, everybody. Thanks for showing up. It's a QR code, WebC official. And here we are. We're live. We're going to be watching Hellier. And I got one of our new hosts that's coming to be in, and he's going to be working through and getting us some daytime show stuff started. So everybody, welcome Alexander, SB Al. I don't know how to say that. Is that what we're going with for your screen name? When we show that, let's see. I'll show you what that comes up as. Your name. So see down in the corner, your name shows up by your face. And so that's what we'll be doing for you. And so, yeah. Oh, look at that. Here's the Model Rocketeer himself in the house, too.
Yeah.
So, that's how we're going to start it off. And then I will be doing this. I'll be flashing between this and this. But we'll still be able to talk. You'll still be able to hear everybody. But you know, like when we pause, I'll pull this up, and then you can hear each of us talk or something. I'm trying to work on the director choreography and stuff with this still too. So, everybody, welcome to the show. It is the late night load with WebC, Andrew, and the Model Rocketeer, Kerry Michael Hall himself. All right, and we're gonna get started on this show. Episode 7. If you guys don't remember where we were, we just left off. On episode 6, finding out that we need to really track these people down and find out who they are. The guys like Terry Rist, David, and Doug, and Fred. I think there was a mention of a guy named Fred. Don't trust Fred, something like that. And Doug. It was like Fred and Doug. Don't trust those dudes, but David's okay. All right, so let's delve into this a little more. We're gonna get going. I gotta go grab and find my phone charger too. Hellier is brought to you by Planet Weird.
Planet Weird.
The secret chiefs of the Third Order are supposed to be ascended masters. And the idea there is they are human beings who have, similar to bodhisattvas in Eastern philosophy, they are at a level of enlightenment that they are capable of going on to Buddhahood or what.
All right, did you guys see those names?
Yeah, I was going to ask you to turn it up a little bit too, since we got a little break. You got some volume for us.
Well, I don't know how to turn it up anymore.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know if it was that or not.
Hello? Is that better?
Yeah.
In Eastern philosophy, they are at a level of
Can you hear now?
They are capable of going on to Buddhahood or whatever the Western equivalent of that would be. But they choose to remain in order to be able to assist other people in their development. You, if I had to guess, I would guess you're being guided by the Third Order.
We're going to be seeing how many Funko Pops we can buy with $100 on the Whatnot app. We're going to bet $11 and see if we can grab this for like a low price. Yes, that's already one down.
If I had a little bit of money to throw around, I'd be going buy it for
Okay, we
this
can't go
$11.
too much higher. Okay, cool. So we're at $25. I'm going to go up to $11. Hopefully we can steal this for $11. Okay, let's see if we can win. No, yes. And we just won Sam Porter. Sweet. Don't have with me. Yes! Are we gonna take it? Yes! Come on, can we take it for $8? Yes! 2, 1, yes! Yeah. It looks like the challenge was completed. We got around 9 Funko Pops, which was fantastic.
Yeah, all right, maybe that'll help slow down less ads if we just watch one through. I'm gonna try that. Fuck with the algorithm a little bit. Sorry about that. That's why we watched it. All right. So starting the show off.
Alan Greenfield has been a ghost that's been hovering over this case since the very beginning.
She's such a big part of this case, you know.
We were looking into Alan Greenfield from the very start. I had originally reached out to Alan when the Hellier stuff had first popped off because I wanted to get his impressions on what was going on. I wanted to know if he thought that Terry Wrist had actually emailed me. And he was of the mindset that it was probably a disinformation agent. So now I've got all these ideas floating around in my head from people who say we're doing a magic ritual. I think if there's anyone we're doing a magic ritual for, it would probably be Greenfield, right? So we're getting ready to go and meet him for the first time and really see what he thinks about this case. I would love to get your opinion on what you think was happening to us in Hellier. What is still happening to us with this case? What do you think is going on?
Speculation based on experience, and that's the way I will label this. I think you were guided.
All right, so this guy right here, he wrote this book that basically spawned the whole entire usage and culture of non-classified people knowing about certain terminology. So he was like one of the guys who wrote the I don't know what you would call it, like the expose, the first writings of what the government's doing behind closed doors. Like he wrote and gave out their first set of codes, so like what they were discovering in the past couple episodes, like words like slough and euphonauts and the grays and guys like injured cold, like, so all that stuff, what it's tying into is he's the dude who wrote that stuff in the books. Like he wrote that book about that stuff.
And every step of the way. And those steps are not concluded yet. I think you are being led towards something. If I had to guess at what it was to access to a greater public the very things that we've been discussing here. I did some of what people who don't understand Kabbalah call numerology with it. And the number, which is a key to those people who are fancy themselves magicians, 93, shows up repeatedly and with gusto, along with several other suggestions that just the name Hellier contained, and it took me about 30 seconds to come up with a list, which I sent to you because I thought it was very significant.
So according to Greenfield, the number 93 is what Hellier equals out to. And to him, that seemed extremely significant. He typically takes funny names, he says funny names, and he runs them through the cipher. So those can be names of weird towns,
when you look at 9 and 3
contact
together,
deed names, things like that. So the first thing he does, he throws Hellier into the cipher, and he gets the value of 93. Immediately, that makes him perk.
Wait, what? Run that back again. What'd you say?
You're talking about numerology, but 93 is a double number, so you'd have to add 9 and 3 together, and that gives you 12. And then you have to add 1 and 2 together to get 3, and it breaks down to a single numeral. That's why I was like, what? I don't understand what they're talking about. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So in his cipher, yeah, his numbers in his cipher may vary a little different than like regular numerology or whatever.
Yeah, that's the only thing I didn't catch. That's what I was just questioning. I was like, where did you get the 93 from? Okay.
Yeah. So that's where he's pulling out from running those different numerology pathways and stuff. So that's where he's getting that from. All right, moving forward.
Because he was a Thelemite, and Thelemites, following the work of Aleister Crowley, the number 93 is a sacred number to them. It means both love and will, two things that are very important in Crowley's system. He says that the name Hellier equals out to like words like Babylon and Christ. Christ stuck out to me immediately because David Christie is the name of the guy who experienced the goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Greenfield said Hellier was an extremely rich yield. Let's talk about that for a second, because that was one of my other questions. Hellier resonated with the magical community in a way that none of us expected. We had no clue it would resonate with them, because I feel like they saw something that maybe we didn't. And a lot of them have come to us and said, sometimes in so many words, you guys realize you're doing an initiation, right? You realize you're doing some kind of a ritual. Is that something that, as a magician, is that something that you see happening? And if that's the case, who do you think could be doing that, and to what purpose? Should we stop doing, if it is a ritual of some kind, should we stop?
Well, my opinion is you should keep going until you reach a point where you feel that it's detrimental to your physical and emotional health and that of your companions. Yeah, I had not thought of the term initiation, but I think it is a magical process. Again, the Campbell thing, the hero's return. The hero goes, encounters the numinous and the frightful, and then returns the better being at some point. But that might be 20 years, or 40 years, or it might be an hour and a half, or it might be tonight. I can't predict that. Who is behind it? Probably what is a better question to ask. And I think whatever the source of these phenomena is or are, I'm not sure if it's multiple or singular, it's designed, I think, to bring people who are involved in it to a higher level of understanding of the nature of reality.
You mentioned earlier you were initially hesitant to say that it would have been Terry that had contacted us. Like, I think even in the original emails that we exchanged, you even said, like, it could be a disinformation agent of some kind. And, you know, how do you feel about that now?
I'm more inclined to think that it is the guy that calls himself Terry Ernest. And the reason that I'm inclined to think that is because I tend to associate productive path-initiating phenomena with authenticity. And what Terry had to say to me, and hopefully what I said to him, was as authentic as it gets.
Do you think Terry's still kicking? Do you think he's still around?
He should be. He would be 75. I would say he's almost certainly still around. And when you got that letter, I'm reasonably sure he was still around. I haven't heard from him in years. And
do you think there is a way we could contact him?
I did a little research. I found out for the past 6 months I've been paying for 3 months.
I mean, how is that even possible?
It's insane. I mean,
you look into that in an episode and ask him to get in contact with you, but better talk to me off camera about having like a code word or something, because otherwise everybody and their cousin who is a trickster, I mean, Gray and Jim have gone on to that great saucer in the sky, but there are other tricksters out there waiting, and you want to distinguish Terry from somebody else. He might even tell you his name. I don't know, because I haven't been involved in some of the sports that we were involved in way back when. So,
do you have any insight into his sort of strange spelling, his seemingly intentional misspellings, the way he writes in sort of that broken code?
It is significant. Hellier. Let's run that through the secret cipher of the euphonauts, and we'll see if if you take it as two separate words, if it yields some different results. That's wild guessing and unlikely, but hell is an interesting thing, because that was the first thing that I noticed. They're going to hell here.
Going to the other world. Part of the hero's journey, right?
Yeah.
When we started this project, we emailed both David and Terry, and both of the email addresses bounced. They were either deactivated or discarded somehow. We got nothing back. We got the mailer demon that emails back.
This is an impressionistic thing. It's not based on anything. I know Terry spent some time in Canada. I believe that was mentioned in one of the interviews, wasn't it? That he went to one of the medicine wheels.
Big medicine wheel. Wyoming, I thought.
It might have been. I don't know. I know it was at a summer or winter solstice, and we're about to hit a summer solstice.
Yeah, he was doing a serious ritual, something.
Yeah, well, he was very into that, but so am I really. But it's just not something that I obsess on, because I don't think Sirius is a well, he said it himself. It's a blue star. It means it's a hot, relatively new star. So it's unlikely, even if you accept extraterrestrial notions, it's unlikely to be a home base.
Well, one of the interesting things about that email address is that David's is still inactive, but Terry's was reactivated.
Same accounts. It sounds like him. Sounds like his MO. And also, this is, again, guessing. I think he wants to meet you on his terms, in his time. He's probably you're gonna be led to this or that location, and he is gonna be there. Whether he'll play games with you or not, I don't know. Games would be, he pumps the gas into your car, and he's wearing an out-of-date Sinclair uniform or something. That's his type of thing.
This is the unedited true coordinates, and this is a more deciphered version, if that helps. And those are the numbers.
Does the number 31 hold any significance to you?
Of course it does. I mean, I edited Frederick Hod's Liber 31, the only authorized edition of it ever published.
What do you think the significance of having 31 on this? I mean, it's huge.
I think he's trying to convey knowledge of magical ritual, or it's trying to display knowledge of magical ritual, or knowledge of me, or knowledge of Frederick Hod, who was Canadian. 31 is a number also that has the kind of magical significance that it's like 93. It's one of those numbers that shows up in magical patterns, mostly in thelemic circles. It has to do with 777, 31, and Liber 31. There was a book. Terry was a numbers cruncher, so I think that, and also a much more technically adroit person than I am. I mean, I can turn on a computer.
Do we got like a lead out on that book? Has any of you guys heard of that book? Alex, your mic is muted.
I can take a look. I got my computer open. What's the name of the book?
It's Liber 31. I believe it's LIBRE 31. I'll go back to the.
Yeah, I think Alex
magical patterns, mostly in thalamic circles. It has to do with 777, 31. Liber 31. It was a book. Terry was a numbers cruncher, so I think that, and also a much more technically adroit person than I am. I mean, I can turn on a computer, and as long as it works, I'm fine. He was familiar with what would come to be called hacking. Very familiar.
So these numbers, right, were sort of.
What do you think the
Right.
Terry was a numbers cruncher, so I think that, and all significance that trying to convey knowledge of magical ritual, or it's trying to display knowledge of magical ritual, or knowledge of me, or knowledge of Frederick Hott, who was Canadian. 31 is a number also that has the kind of magical significance that it's like 93. It's one of those numbers that shows up in magical patterns, mostly in thalamic circles. It has to do with 777, 31, and Liber 31. It was a book. Terry was a numbers cruncher, so I think that, and also a much more technically adroit person than I am. It was a book up in magical patterns than I am. I mean, I can turn on a computer, and as long as it works.
All right, well, we're back on track.
He was familiar with what would come to be called hacking. Very familiar.
I think that's what it's talking
So
about.
these numbers, right, were sort of something that had crossed.
I don't know if it's related, but it's interesting that it popped up. So I Google searched for this Liber 31, and it takes me to the Yale Law School, Lillian Goldman Law Library, the Avalon Project, Instructions for the Government of Armies of the United States in the Field, Martial Law.
No, that's crazy. That's a very. That's really out there.
I know, right? I mean, I'm. It was the first thing that popped in Google, and it said something about the Liber code or the Avalon code. I was like, what? That just sounds kind of cool. And this is what the Avalon Project, the Liber code, and it comes to this weird Yale Law School thing.
Now, I've heard of the name, the Avalon Project, before. I'm just not sure where I'm placing that. I've heard of that before.
Yeah, the name is synonymous with a lot of interesting things, but in historicals, it's King Arthur. But so everything that's done with the usual idea of being like the Avalon Project is like that idea of going to another dimension or whatever, Avalon, or like flatlanders crossing over.
Yeah. So Alex says it sounds like a familiar book from a philosophy class he took.
It is. It's a medieval document.
Yep. And
it's from 400 to 1399 AD.
Okay, so he says out there and deep down the rabbit hole. Okay. So that's always something, like whenever they bring up a document like that, that's something we should go and figure out where it's from, what it's talking about, because then that'll help us understand where they're going to move next in this show.
Not knowing if we're anything near close to this. These are just random words that and then good hunting on Alexander's part too. We're just hunting for this connection of thoughts to add to their story, to add to our story. You
Right.
never know, we might be able to even break something between three people that just randomly thought of something.
Right. So, all right, we ready to go back?
Let's do it.
Greatest mind, I'm sure, thousands of times now as we've gone through the last 6 or 7 years. One of the other things I did before I tell you the other search is you break down the numbers. No matter what quadrant you split the numbers into, they all become either 3 or 9.
93.
Which is
Hellier.
Yeah.
You are adding to the credential. You're still set on a path, and there's got to be some reasoning involved because there is this type of lineal stuff. It takes a pretty good amount of trouble to concoct something. Well, I mean, it looks like there's a sophisticated construct built on stuff that I would understand.
Yeah.
Apparently you understood it, but I mean, do you know that 93 is a significant number to Thelemites, which I'm not anymore?
Back then I wouldn't have, absolutely not. I mean, that's what's always confused me, is this idea that these dumb kids with a dumb website, Ghost Hunters Incorporated, or me in particular, like I was a ghost hunter. At the time this stuff arrived, I had no context for any of this stuff. I do now. I've learned stuff now in the last 2 years in particular that I never would have known. I'd never have any impetus to figure out.
Well, there's a jargon in Thelemic circles that you would have to be in those circles because nobody writes books about those circles. Those are immediately recognizable to me. I always thought it was a little goofy to do that. It's like Thelemites will greet each other with 93, love and will, both add to 93 and some kind of Kabbalah, not English Kabbalah at all.
Is there something that you think we should take a closer look at? Because again, we didn't feel like we really found anything significant. I mean, maybe they're not GPS coordinates, but
no, my guess is it's not GPS coordinates. My guess is that it's a code, and I'm not a code breaker, notwithstanding what I've written on, and I'm perfectly willing to take the number and look. I don't even think the SLUF is the pejorative term because it was another pejorative term that's similar to that actually was very commonly used Vietnam era. I speak from direct knowledge.
So one of the things that you talk about in Secret Cipher is Terry discusses meeting Indrid Cold. He said that he used the cipher to find clues, to find out where Indrid was living at the time. He described him. Do you know the name of the town where that happened? Because I know that he didn't want to talk about it. It was kind of...
I'm going to embarrass myself here. I was told, I don't remember. I do remember that it was on the Ohio River, further south than the, for lack of a better term, Mothman area. It's south of Point Pleasant, south. But I don't remember the name of the town. It was a little town.
The name of the town was Ashland. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay, you guys, today I'm checking out the live auction app, Whatnot. I've been hearing how crazy the savings are, and I've been dying to get some new equipment.
They didn't.
West Virginia.
Can you show me on the map? I mean, I wouldn't swear by it, but because...
Yeah.
Do you know or remember?
I don't know much about, so my part of the country, we don't have a Mothman. We got Bigfoot, we got a wolf dog, and we got a demonic lake monster type thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we got. I guess we got Bigfoot. I've experienced. I think a UFO. And I guess it's supposed to be like a dog man. But yeah, Mothman.
It wasn't.
And the fact was Mothman.
It was super recent to that, or particularly long before that.
I had the impression that it was. Long before that.
Oh man, I know. The commercials are horrible, aren't they?
With Terry. course,
nothing
these
I can do
early
about him.
70s, that's a guess. I didn't ask. Again, just getting him to sit down for a couple of interviews was a major coup because he was not the interview type.
I didn't want to put words in Greenfield's mouth, but for him to say the late 60s or early 70s definitely seemed to match. The 60s doesn't really make too much sense. The Mothman story was still happening. Vietnam was still happening. But the 70s pegs everything. Woody Derenberger's book came out in 71. The Mothman Prophecies came out in 75. Cypher 6 was broken by the occult community in 1974, allowing them to apply the secret cipher of the Euphonauts that Greenfield theorizes about. And the Wagon Wheel Restaurant was open from 74 to 78. So for Greenfield to say the 70s, that's very specifically the window that we were looking at with Terry.
What would you say to someone who said, well, it's obvious, Alan Greenfield is Terry Wrist?
No, that's not so. Yeah. Part of that was got a lot of publicity because of the name at the very beginning. But I mean, people around here knew I can refer you to. I don't know if they talk to you because they're all political people. From most of them no longer active in that kind of circle and caring to do that. But it wasn't like I knew him privately away from these other people. It was a whole affinity group that he was known by. And if he were me, then he lived a more adventurous life.
Interview thinking that Alan Greenfield could very well be Terry Wrist. I did not feel that when we left. I didn't see it.
Going into the meeting, I was half convinced that we were about to meet Terry Wrist. That's an individual that Greenfield created himself and sort of pretended to have an interview with himself in the back of his book so that he could get out some information more about his footwork that he's been doing. But after the interview, and after we had done research on things like Ashland, it's pretty clear to me that Terry is a separate individual. Greenfield pointed something out that brought us back to some of the information.
2 minds, 1 body.
He was talking about.
To share sounds
saying
legit.
He believes that this case is being guided by the
Yeah, I'm not
chiefs
sure.
of the Third Order.
Third Order is supposed to be totally benevolent and like that, although they can be pretty severe. If I had to guess, I would guess you're being guided by the Third Order. It's a term out of the AA/Golden Dawn universe.
Given what you know of the Third Order, if that
That was another book he just gave us a title to.
That hadn't really directly crossed my mind. What would the motivation of the Third Order be in guiding us?
If I had to guess, I would guess you're being guided by the Third Order. It's a term out of the AA/Golden Dawn universe.
Given what you know of the
AA/Golden Dawn
I think is
universe.
interesting. I hadn't really directly crossed my mind. What would the
I haven't
motivation
heard
of
that
the Third
book either.
Order be in guiding us on documenting this case?
To have a series of
So I'm going to have to go and look that book up too.
initiations. And an initiation is the following. It is the creation of a crisis and the resolution of the crisis and the assimilation of that crisis resolution dialectic. What I think very strongly is that if you continue to do what you're doing, things will fall in your path.
One of the biggest goals, I think, of this season is trying to contact extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials, for a better term. Would you recommend it? Is that a wise thing to try and attempt?
You seem to have a freak out level that's just over the horizon. And nothing can freak you out more than that kind of contact, because it's never what you expect.
About 6 years ago, I got this idea. Whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, you can tell me, that we might be able to instigate an alien abduction. It worked in an interesting way.
Wow.
I've felt now for the last few years that there's a non-physical aspect to abduction experiences. Is that something that you think would be accurate?
Oh, yeah.
I think that there's a place that people go that their body can still be here, but on some other place, some other plane, they're going through something. They're meeting somebody, they're having some sort of an experience that is just as real as anything that's in this room. So we thought, what if we do the reverse? What if we do the reverse of a regression session? What if we instead put this idea in someone's head via hypnotism that they're going to go somewhere and meet someone and see what happens? We did that. There were no leading phrases other than there's a light in the sky. It's in a form you've never seen exist before, and you know you're going to be taken on that light. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen. I watched this guy sit there. A friend of mine wasn't supposed to be the guy who was supposed to go. It just happened to be him. And he just went somewhere else and recounted this entire experience.
And now all of a sudden, I expected Nick to get picked, honestly. And why do you feel nervous? I don't know. My mind, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I totally understand that.
You're absolutely in control of yourself throughout this entire process. I cannot control you. Any suggestion that is given, you may freely reject. I wouldn't give you a suggestion that I find helpful in the process. Okay.
Except he's trying to talk somebody into going to get abducted.
It's good to have you. Thanks. Look at your hand. Look at the spot on your hand. Look at the lines on your hand. As your hand draws nearer and nearer to your face, go ahead and focus on your eyes. And as you focus on your eyes, allow your eyes to close. As you close your eyes, close your eyes. Let your head sink forward and drift. You can ignore the environment around. You go ahead and drift and relax. Relax in spite of all the environment. Focus on my voice and only my voice as you allow yourself to relax. Imagine you see those strange lights on the horizon. Lights that you can't identify as a plane or helicopter. Anything that you've ever seen before. In a pattern in which you didn't think was possible to fly. How many lights are there? 4. Notice those lights coming closer and closer. That light comes closer and closer to the group. You know something's about to happen. Something that you may not have even thought possible before. But it's become clear that this group is going to be taken. Could you describe what happens?
We're just... The doors... There's like a door. And there's like a light coming out from the inside of it. I don't want to go in, but I feel like everybody else is going. Players have been asking us for ways to target
Jesus, commercial time again?
Really want for their deck.
This is just getting worse and worse on us.
Token shop. Starting a collection. It's really bright.
They are earning money though.
No. I feel like I should be telling people we shouldn't do this, but nobody is listening. And the light is almost blinding because it's really mad. And I can't really see anything. I know that there's metal below, but I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to go any forward, but nobody's stopping.
Is it still just you and the group, or are there other things there?
No, it's just the group. We're in a single file. And we're just walking in this hallway. And like I said, there's nothing. It's very bright. We're just single file walking.
feel compelled to move forward, or is someone guiding you?
I feel like I have to move forward. I don't want to. I want to go back outside.
Do you feel like you can turn around? Try to turn around now. What happens?
I can't.
Okay. Do you feel safe?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Jason, I'm going to grab your arm and hold it up. I'll be grabbing you at the wrist, so just relax. I'm grabbing you now. Put the arm up here, leave it there. Allow that arm to drop only as slowly or as quickly as time passes on that ship. As those memories assimilate into your mind, what that group has experienced. And as time passes by, your arm will slowly, quickly sink to your lap as you acquire whatever experience that is. You'll be able to relate that experience back to us. Very good. Now the group's back in that same place outside. Rattled. Take a look at your watch or your phone or whatever time it is. What day is it?
Sunday?
And what day do you remember going there?
Thursday?
Is it still nighttime or daytime?
It's daytime.
Take a look at your group. Is everyone there?
There's a girl missing.
Do you know the girl?
No.
Does anyone else realize that someone's missing?
No. Everybody seems really confused. I don't really remember a lot. My head feels weird.
Your head feels weird? Because there's a wall that may have been built. We can take a peek behind that wall if you'd like to see.
Is it safe?
It's safe.
I guess so.
What's behind the wall, Jason?
It's more about that hallway.
Could we fast forward to something more specific?
There's a lot of conveyor belts and just standing over and we're being moved around like cattle.
Have you seen anything yet? Anything other than your fellow group members?
There are a lot of machines in this room, but nothing I recognize. I think there's something behind. It's like a shallow, like a thin wall. It's lit up, but all I can see is shadows. And they're moving around, but I can't see what they are, who they are.
At any point in these memories, can you see who they are?
Yes.
What do they look like?
They're very pale. They look sickly. But they don't seem like they're not acting sick. They're very quick moving, very fluid. Kind of like when an octopus moves its tentacles, the motion is very much the same. I don't think they have bones.
Have they done anything to anyone in the group?
Yeah, there are people on tables, but I can see people's faces, but I can't see what they're doing to their bodies. I'm worried they're gonna come to me. I don't want this to happen.
Jason, Grandpa. So on the count of 5, I'll have you open your eyes and reorient to the room. 1, starting to notice our limbs a little bit more. 2, knowing that anything that happens, you can handle it. It's just a matter of perspective. 3, feeling free, grateful that you've had this experience.
I don't know about that.
Knowing that it was nice to experience Grandpa, huh? And 5. Welcome back. How you feel?
We're going to be seeing how many Funko Pops we can buy with $100 on the Whatnot app. We're going to bet $11.
All right. So, what they did to this dude was bad. Okay, they really did something naughty to this guy. Okay, so what they did was they did this exercise where they took somebody else's stored energetic memory and drew it down and brought it into him. And that was really mean of them to do, because that is like you're like hitting copy and paste, and you're giving that person somebody else's memory to the point to where that person almost feels as if they experienced everything the other person experienced to a flawless T, like everything perfectly. And some people are like, oh, that's hard to do, or that's something you can't really do that well. I don't know. I feel like, some sort of hypnotisms do work. I've seen some people completely change their ways after being hypnotized and stuff. Like, just completely changed. Not the same person anymore. So I don't know. I didn't pay nobody no money after I saw it, but I'm just saying, so you can understand, like, it wasn't like, here, pay me money because I can do this. It was just more of a, oh wow, some dude came through. What you saying? So yeah, and you were like talking about like, looks like a cell phone with a friend. He's talking about astral projection, but wouldn't that also screw with their own mind? Well, it could. And see, that's what they were talking about, is because they said that they meant for it to happen to one person and it ended up being a different person chosen or whatever. When they first started talking about what they did here, they were talking about it being from somebody else, and they were choosing something else. They were choosing somebody else, and that dude ended up being chosen for the process or something. Like the process chose him instead of whoever they were trying to target. So that was weird. But yeah, so it says here, in the weeks that followed, the subject began to believe that he truly became abducted by aliens. It's crazy.
We interviewed him beforehand. He did not believe in extraterrestrials. He didn't believe in any of that type of stuff. We interviewed him years later. Not only does he not remember the experience, but he's developed an intense fear of extraterrestrials and absolutely believes that they exist.
I'm sure you've thought of maybe he actually already had an experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's gone through my head too. What do you think of that as an experiment? Do you think that there's... So say he was not an experiencer previously. What do you think happened to him?
Well, there are two fundamental possibilities. If it was not a physical experience, then that tends to add credence to the notion that these experiences can be induced by a perfectly, ordinary, sinister, insensitive, cruel human being into another. Am I giving the impression that I think this is unethical? Yeah, I think it is. The other possibility is you tuned him in. Either of those could be true. Both of them cannot be true. So that you would have to have something within the experience that would validate one or the other, like a word. I want you to obtain a word from they can't speak, but you can imagine a word that they follow me, and then you run it through code again,
That is kind of the idea that our heads are in now, is to try that again, but with something like that. To bring something back that can validate the experience. That's something that I think we're all interested in trying and seeing. Do you think that is a smart idea?
I think it's a useful idea. Yeah, you need one validating element at least that tells you this is an objectively real experience that he's experiencing subjectively here and now.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say to the larger Hellier audience? Is there anything that you wanted to get out there?
Don't try this at home.
And then after the interview, we got around to talking about the balloons.
When Strand went to the coordinates and didn't find anything there, the only thing that was in the spot was this old happy birthday balloon. And it was significant enough that Strand put it in his backpack to take it with him. And we just thought, well, that's weird. A year from that date, a friend of mine who I haven't seen in years and years and years and years, we're at a bar in California, sitting there, I'm talking to him. And I tell him about, he's like, what did you guys find at the coordinates? You went to the coordinates, right? What did you find? And I said, well, it's weird. The only thing that we found at the coordinates was a deflated happy birthday balloon. And the dude started to shake. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, no. He pulls his phone out. He shows me this video.
Oh no.
You are also tasked
Commercial time.
with
Hey, it's a balloon.
He's walking, hiking through this forested area, this hill, and this silver balloon floats down to him. No idea where it comes from. Happened on the exact same date, and he's like, "I was supposed to tell you that. Something happened. I'm supposed to tell you something. What that is, I don't know." Alex was convinced. He's like, there's something weird about this. He's like, you don't even understand. He flips to his notebook and he shows me that, like, ask Greg and Dana about the balloon, significance of the balloon. And he said, man, I think I was supposed to show this to you. Like, this is a sign. You're supposed to take these balloons seriously.
Oh, I'll give you the message again. You're being guided. There may be nothing more to it. Maybe somebody's birthday.
Sure.
That's significant.
Running the numbers later, I told Greenfield that the balloons happened on the same exact date. It was like a day or two off. But this particular part of February was starting to show a pattern that was shaping up over a span of years. This patch of dates in February seemed important because the wrist emails came in this time period. The A&E emails came in this time period. And both of the balloons showed up during this time period.
I mean, you're following a trail in the woods because there are marks on trees, funny marks on trees. Where it's leading, to a pot of gold or to
Grizzly death.
Yes, a grizzly death, or that was not what I was thinking, or a nuclear power plant, or a subterranean tunnel where aliens and humans are interacting in a very familiar pattern. You don't know, but if you don't follow the path, if you ask who chipped away at these trees, you're missing the point. The point has got to be that the path leads somewhere. gift to you. You're on the path, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have had these two, this synchronicity. Yeah. Every synchronicity says you're on the path. If the synchronicities stop or they become vague, then you're off the path.
On the way back from Atlanta, I realized that Somerset was only a half an hour out of the way on our drive back to Cincinnati. So I suggested, if the idea is we're going to go there anyway, let's go. I'll show Carl and Connor the sites. I'll show them where Strand and I had scoped out. So we're driving down one of these back roads, middle of nowhere, one lane dirt road. There's really nowhere to go or to turn around on these roads. And we have to stop because there's literally a tree laying over the road. We can't go anywhere.
And the way that it crossed the road so perfectly and just covered the road felt so intentional to get our car to stop.
So Connor and I get out of the van and we walk over to see if we can move this tree. And as we are looking at this tree, we see a glinting at the base. And I said, don't tell me that's what I think it is. It literally stopped us in our tracks to find a balloon. God damn it. What are the chances?
Oh no, a creepy balloon.
If you're just starting to play this game, do not hatch the dragon egg at the start. You don't have much resources at the start.
It's okay, we don't have to hatch the dragon egg at all.
Were you hearing shit? Did you not hear that? Well, we turned the car off. Is it musical? Was it a cow? You guys notice? How did this become a thing? Mr. Greenfield wouldn't shut up about it? Yeah, but
what I think very strongly is that if you continue to do what you're doing, things will fall in your path. You didn't seem to be really impressed by the two fucking balloons. And I'm really, that's like ding, 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 ding. Do everything with that because this is a gift. What do you get with the balloon? You get a present, and the two balloons is a present. It's saying, same day, something about this day is a birthday present to you. Don't throw it away.
The balloon, of all the things for Greenfield to focus on right now,
Greenfield brought that up on his own like 4 times.
How do you not think that's a bigger deal?
Why do you think the balloon's a big deal? Seems like a pretty significant sign.
Something blocked our path to show us a balloon, make us pay attention to a balloon. Well, I mean, what's the context of finding it? It's a blocked path. It's a star?
this is Blue Star?
Blue Star.
Well, happy birthday.
I
All right. That's our episode of Hellier.
Dun, dun, dun. Interesting, man. This is just crazy. But I'm starting to notice the pattern, I think.
No. Alexander says, after the wouldn't screw with their own minds, he says, seriously, sounds like a bad Clockwork Orange crossed with Mind Warp. You cannot tell what is real, be it your own memories or your personality. And yeah, I totally agree with that. Back on that, what they did to that guy thing. I totally get what you're saying. So, where they're at, they went and confronted one of the people who they were suspecting to be a big part of this, whatever you want to call it, this case, this what they call it is a case, but what I'm calling it is basically a giant clusterfuck of circle jerks, because they're going in a circle now. So they get back to this guy, and now they have to go all the way back to the beginning and go, what's the meaning of everything? Now they have to go back and look at all the footage. Now they have to look at everything. And yeah, now the balloons are what make them go back. And now they're like, what they're just saying is now we have to go back and look at everything all over again with new eyes and new perspective, because there's going to be things they missed. It's funny thing is it'll not make sense for the next like 2 episodes, and then like the last episode or whatever, it makes sense. So anyways, that was it for the night, guys. Just this episode tonight, and we will get better. Yeah, right. Instead of thinking about the box, you remove the box. That's exactly right. I like that. That's good. So yeah, we're gonna be done with it. Sooner or later, we'll get done with this series, and we'll move on to other things like cryptids and giants and all those fun things that we all want to talk about, because that's what we're moving to. We'll get done with this, and then we'll move on to other things. So everybody have a great night. Thanks for coming and hanging out, Alex and Carrie, and we will see everybody on Tuesday for the next Late Night Load.